and what we farmers do, plant the seed. You know, once I plant that seed, I hope that you go out and you take care of it, and it flourishes and it grows, and you carry on this grassroots campaign. It's truly a grassroots campaign. Nothing like I've ever seen before. You know, just to tell you a little bit about who Joe Blystone is and why in the world he would decide to jump into the biggest hornet's nest he could find. I wasn't sure about that at the beginning, but you know, it was wearing on me. It was wearing on my heart. It was wearing on my shoulders. You know, everything that we had to endure last year. Yeah, what was it? What they kept on telling us, you know, 6 weeks or something like that to flatten the curve. Yep. Here we are, 2 years later. 2 years later, and it's still ramping up. They're still telling us what to do. Put your mask on. Get your shot. Get your booster. Get your booster. Get your booster. When is it going to stop? I don't see any end to this lunacy. And you know, all I see time and time again is just a little bit more of our liberties eroding. Our country, everything that we grew up loving, disappearing. And it saddens me. It saddens me for our children, our grandchildren. It saddens me that people are losing jobs because they're unwilling to take an emergency use vaccine. I mean, I don't know where we're living today. I have faith. I was saved by the grace of God when I was a young person. So I have my thoughts on this. I believe we are living in the last days. But that's just what I think. So I had God's armor on. I'm going to fight this. Because we don't know what we have. Do we have a year left? Do we have 100 years left? You know, just because it's the last days doesn't mean we actually know how long that'll be. But we need to stand up. We need to be examples of goodness, of respect, of love. And we see that disappearing in this country. We can't even have civil conversations anymore. You know, Politics, I can tell you what I've learned here in the past year, it's an evil, disgusting business. Yes. And there's no wonder that there's not good people with integrity and honesty that jumps into the political environment. Because they're going to tear you up and they're going to spit you out.
Yep.
And that's what they're trying to do to me right now. I've been in business for quite a few years. And what I've learned in business is as long as somebody's talking about you, that's a good thing. Good, bad, or ugly, free publicity is good. It's when they stop talking about me that I need to worry. But they're talking about me a lot right now. So what that tells me is we're over the target, folks.
That's right.
We are over the target.
They're threatened. They're threatened.
You know, there's so many things out here that we need to talk about. So many things that need change. So many things that need to be good. You know, our public school systems have become indoctrination tanks.
Yep.
You know, they're not teaching our young people anymore. You know, between the CRT, the 1619 project, they're drawing a line right down the center of our children. And they're teaching them that, well, if this little child doesn't look like this little child, and this one falters in life, well, he can blame this little guy on this side of the aisle. Because obviously he was born a different color in life. That's just wrong.
You can say it.
That is wrong.
You can say it. Say it.
You know, I don't care if you're red, white, black, or blue. You're either a good person or you're a bad person. And we get out of life what we're willing to put into life. If you're not willing to work, be successful, then you're probably not going to get anything out of life. And it really has nothing to do with your skin color. I know a lot of people. I have a lot of black friends, a lot of successful black friends, and everything that was happening last year, you know, when they were burning up the streets of Columbus amongst all the other metropolitan areas, it bothered me. And I called my friend Michelle. She's my township trustee. And I said, Michelle, I said, what is going on here? And she said, Joe, she said, they're trying to divide us. They're trying to divide us in half. My friend Michelle, she's a pastor. She's a businesswoman. She's very successful. So I kind of lean on her a little bit for some advice. And I said, well, we need to do something to try to bring people together. And we started a Just Neighbors, No Labels, Just Neighbors club. And basically, we wanted to bring people together, and it didn't matter where you was from, what color your skin was, where you lived in around Columbus, how much money you made, and none of that mattered. We just want people to come together and have some conversation. Because if we can get out of our bubble, our comfort bubble, and actually start some conversation and have some respect, my gosh, we can fix the world. But as long as we let the government divide us in half, so these people are pointing and yelling, and these people are pointing and yelling, we're never going to get anything fixed. And that's all the divisiveness in Columbus and Washington. Everybody's just pointing at each other. No, we can't go along with that because you're on the other side of the aisle. Well, that nonsense needs to stop. You know, these politicians, we hire them. And folks, I just want to tell you, what's happening today is our fault. You and I. Because we don't get involved. We go vote. We vote for the lesser of the two evils, and we hope there's going to be a different outcome. There will never be a different outcome as long as that's how we're involved. You know, my involvement in politics was I go vote. That's it. Then I go back to the farm and run my business. Yep. Taxes go up. I make the necessary adjustments to keep the lights on and the mortgage paid. But I stay on my farm. It's a comfort zone. I don't got time to go in Columbus. I don't got time to fight for any rights. I didn't have time to find good candidates to get behind. But by gosh, last year it was mentally and physically hard to live in this state. You know, when they come up your driveway and they say, Joe, you need to make sure every single one of your clients walking into your building has a mask on. Matter of fact, you need to make sure every one of your 70 employees, they have a mask on. You need to put lines on the floor. You need to herd people around like cattle. And I just looked at him and said, no, I will not abide.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know, I put a big sign on the front of my building, and it said, if you do not want to engage with unmasked staff members, just don't enter my building. Pretty simple. And then on social media, they started saying, well, the sign's up there on your building, we didn't see it when we walked into your building. So guess what? I made another sign, and I put it at the foot of the driveway. Because I don't want you coming into my building if you think that somehow that virus is going to jump on you. You know? My gosh, and we know if you're sitting down, you're safe. But my gosh, as soon as you stand up and walk across that building, you never know. It's a smart virus. Now, you know, we know the virus is out there. We know it's real. But what was the narrative? The narrative was, we're going to have people dying in the streets. Did that ever happen? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, our first responders, our nurses, our doctors, they worked through all this last year. They were heroes. Heroes. So by gosh, this year, you get that jab or you're out of a job. Many of these people across the state of Ohio, many healthcare workers either left their job or they were fired because they were unwilling. No, they were just independent thinkers.
Thanks, Frank.
They've been watching the science. They don't ever want to talk about the science, do they? They want to push their own science, whatever that looks like. And their science is, get a shot, get a booster, get another booster. Oh, but you can still get it, and you can still spread it.
Right.
Joke.
It makes no sense.
Nope. No sense, baby.
You know, I love that thing that God gave us, that immunity.
That's right.
Natural immunity. You know, all you do is put the good stuff in your body, and your body will take care of you. It's a proven fact. It's been around since God invented us.
That's right.
So, you know, and there's research. The most highly vaccinated country in the world, Israel, did research that if you got the COVID and you got through the COVID, that your immunity was 26 times better than if you had the shot. How come nobody's talking about that? They're not.
It doesn't fit the narrative.
There's no money in it. That's exactly right.
Kennedy he wrote a book. It's very good.
You know, but the information's out there, even though Facebook and all these other entities want to censor it, want to squash it. The information is out there. You just got to dig. You just got to find it. There's great people, scientists, doctors, that they speak about all this. But you have to find that information, and our government is doing one bang-up job trying to get rid of all that information.
Yep.
Just like canceling history. How about let's cancel history so we're bound to repeat it? You know, we also, in our schools, we're teaching transgenderism. You know, multiple genders.
There's no such thing.
Here's what I can say, folks. I'm a farmer. We got cows and we got bulls. That's it. That's the way God made it. And that's what we should be teaching our children. And you know, we need to bring back vocational training. We need to be teaching our young people that there is a way to be successful in life, and it does not include a 2-year or a 4-year college degree. You don't have to go in debt to be successful in life. You know, some of these schools down by Columbus, there was an electrical organization down there that they bring in young people and they teach them the electrical trade. And they told me here about a month ago when I was speaking at one of their meetings, they said, Joe, one of the schools we tried to get into was Upper Arlington. They said, you know, they wouldn't even let us in there to talk to the people, the young people. Because we, at that school, we want them to go to college, period. We don't want these young people to know there's another option in life. Again, that's wrong.
Yep.
Everybody wasn't made for college. And that should be up to that young person. If they want to go to college, I have no problem. Go to college. But you should know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of debt. So you better have a plan. When you get that degree, are you going to be able to pay that debt off? Too many kids, they go into deep debt. They get out of college and they can't even pay their bills because they had no plan. They got a liberal arts degree, and they're waiting on tables at O'Charlie's. Good for you. Great plan. But we should be mentoring these young people in school. We need to hold the teachers' unions accountable.
Absolutely. Fire over there.
They get rid of all of them.
And me too.
The indoctrination has to stop. And you say, how are we going to do that, Joe? How are we going to go up against the teachers' unions? Because they are a powerful source. My gosh, these people negotiate with the White House. How are we going to do that? Well, in Ohio, the way we can do that is the backpack bill. What the backpack bill is, it sets up a savings account for the child in the local public school system. If your child's in the public school system, the money's there. If you decide, you know what, I'm not leaving my child in the public school, I'm going to move them over here to charter school or Christian school, guess what? The money moves with the child. Now the local public school system becomes a business, and if they keep indoctrinating the children and all the children leave, the business will die as it should.
That's right. That's right.
Now I've had some public school teachers come up to me afterwards and say, Joe, we're public school teachers. We're not sure we like that. And I said, do you have children? And they say, yes. I say, are you willing to sell your children out for the almighty dollar? And their answer is always, no, we're not. I said, well, don't worry about your job, because if the job dies over here, you're going to have another job across the street at the private school.
There we
So
go.
let's quit selling our children out for money. It needs to stop. Everybody's always money motivated. We got to do this because it pays, or that because it pays. You know what? My opposition is really scared of me. Why do you ask? Because politicians are money motivated. I'm not money motivated. I had some come up to me and say, you know what? When we get done with you, you won't have anything. Because that's what these politicians do. If you don't follow what they want you to follow, they bury you in lawsuits. We saw that last year. Some of the legislators that tried to impeach DeWine, Nino Vitale. You know, they went after Nino and they filed a lot of lawsuits against him. That's what they do. And my answer to that was, you know what? You mistake me for somebody who cares about assets. You mistake me for somebody who really cares about a farm or a tractor or a bus or any of that, because it's all stuff.
That's right.
And you can have it all, but you're not stopping me.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, and these are the kind of people that we need to hire. We need to hire people that will represent our voice. They've forgotten that. DeWine, he shut the door on our legislators last year. He decided that he was going to rule with a tyrant hand. And he did. He didn't listen to any of our legislators. And by gosh, they didn't go up against him. They just were quiet. That's why nothing gets done in Columbus. We have a bill down there. It was the HB 248 bill. No mandatory vaccines, no mandatory vaccine passports. Now, folks, if you're conservative and you stand up for our Constitution, you would say, you know what, that bill's wonderful. Should go through just lickety-split. Well, they couldn't even get 9 votes to get that bill out of Health Committee. 9 votes. That's what happens down in Columbus. And if you go and look at some of these legislators that are in Health Committee, guess what? Look at their campaign finance and see who puts money into their coffers. Health organizations, State Chamber of Commerce, the 2 biggest entities that control politics in Ohio, those 2 entities. And then you got Steve Stivers. He comes out, he's now the president of the chamber. He comes out and said, you know, businesses, private businesses should be able to mandate a vaccine to work in their business. No. Do they know the Ohio Constitution? Do they read that?
They don't care.
What is Section 1, Article 21? They're not following our rights. And again, our legislators should be there upholding our rights. They should be fighting loudly, but
Yep.
they're not. Does everybody in here know who your representative is, whether it's in the House or the Senate in Ohio?
Unfortunately, yes.
If you do not, you need to go home and do some research. You need to know who's representing you in your neighborhood. Because if you don't know, how are you going to hold them accountable? You should know what they're working on in Columbus. You should know what the priorities are, what needs to be passed right now, and you need to be holding them accountable. Phone calls, emails. And if your representative does not get back with you or communicate with you, you need to make them feel uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is you need to find out where their house is, and you need to be protesting on the sidewalk peacefully.
Right. 3-foot rule.
You know, Ohio Health, they came out and they said all of our staff has to be vaccinated. I was getting flooded with emails. Joe, I'm going to lose my job. Nurses, doctors, technicians. So I decided to put a team of people together in our campaign, and I said, find out where the CEO of Ohio Health lives. Well, we found out. He lives in Tartan Fields. Tartan Fields is just north of Columbus in Delaware. $1 million homes. So a team of our people went up there and protested in front of his house. Some of his neighbors came out and they actually talked with some of our folks. And they explained what was going on. And we did it peacefully. I wasn't personally there, but it was done peacefully. We even contacted the Delaware police and said, here's where we're going to be. And you know, 2 days after that, Ohio Health came out and said, we're going to do away with the mandate.
Yep.
But you got to be willing to do the work, folks. You got to roll up your sleeves and you got to get dirty. None of these politicians, I don't think they know how to get dirty. I know how to get dirty. I got manure on my boots. So we're going to go into the swamp and we're going to clean this mess up.
That's right.
You know, we got this this leftist ideology, defunding of the police. Well, we see. Did you see that we broke a record last year? Record homicide in Ohio. Good job, DeWine. You're doing one bang-up job. And, again, nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Our representatives should be appalled at this. They should be holding DeWine accountable. We see these mayors, especially in these big metropolitan areas, they pander to their side of the aisle for political gain. You know, when they were burning up the streets and businesses last year in Columbus, they had a big old bonfire right there by the State House, at the crossroads of Broad Street and High Street. Mayor Ginther told the CPD, stand down, do not engage, just let them go, have at it. Governor DeWine told our state troopers when they started tearing up the State House, our house, he told them, stand down, do not engage. You know, folks, the governor, he's at the top of the food chain here. It's his job to make sure everybody else is doing their job. We pay taxes for safe communities, safe neighborhoods.
Right.
We shouldn't have to worry about if we have to go to the store, whether there's, you know, a protest out in the middle of the street, and we shouldn't have to worry about our safety, our children's safety, our parents' safety. That's not why we pay taxes. If that ever happens when you hire me, basically I'm just going to call the local mayor and say, you got a few hours to clean this mess up and make your community safe.
Right on.
If you do not get this done, by gosh, I'm sending in the National Guard and we'll clean this mess up.
There we go. There we go.
Nobody did anything for 4 months.
That's right. Well, you know, we got these governors that, by gosh, they pander. They pander for political gain, and they get rehired. That's the crazy thing about it. Look at Nancy Pelosi.
Oh my goodness.
Look at her district out there. And she gets rehired year after year after year.
She moved down the floor.
Did she?
Yeah, she went down the floor.
That's because that's one of the freest states.
Yep.
Isn't that so?
You know, so we have to get involved and get this turned around. You know, and then in Ohio, Ohio ranks 4th in human trafficking. 4th.
Yep.
Toledo ranks 3rd.
It is.
Is anybody talking about it? Is our representatives? Is the governor? Is our media? Nobody. You know why? It's a $38 billion industry. And I believe that's exactly right. Some of these folks are involved in it.
Like
So they're not going to talk about it. Heck yeah, we got Wexner down there, Epstein's house right on the back property. You know, these are the things that need investigated. We should be dead last in human trafficking in this state. Dead last. And then we got child trafficking going through our CPS system. Our CPS system needs reform.
Yes.
And it's going to take somebody on the outside of the outer belt saying, this is a priority in this state. We're going to break the whole system open. We're going to find out where all the perversion is. We're going to put people in jail.
Yes.
And we don't care how much money they have. You know, that's right.
And everybody will spill on each other once you grab the.
You know, we saw when Trump was in Washington. He was going down this path. He was opening these curtains. So it became a priority for them to get that guy out of Washington. And they was going to do whatever it took to make that happen.
Yep.
Even a man-made pandemic.
He exposed them.
That's right. So we have to, we got to pick up this torch. We can't worry about the country. We have to worry about Ohio.
The heart of it all.
Ohio.
Lead.
The heart of it all.
Lead.
You know, we see Governor DeSantis. My gosh, that guy's a rock star, isn't he? He fights for his people. He has a backbone. He holds the gate to Washington. That's the kind of representation we need in Ohio. Somebody who's a fighter. Somebody who has a backbone and will stand up and say, you know what, Washington, you keep that garbage over there because it's not coming into Ohio.
That's right. Strong governor.
You know, the first thing I'm going to do is get every single county sheriff at a round table when I take over. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to make sure every single county sheriff is a constitutionalist.
There we go.
These county sheriffs need to realize, and some of them do, they are the most powerful person in the county. They hold the gate to Washington and the overreach of their regulators. You know, if they want to come into this state